Bill,
Hey.
what's up?
Man, listen, how's everybody, man? Shout out Ness, Danny, and everybody in the Boxing Voice community and everybody worldwide that'll get a chance to hear what you guys always do at keeping the fans informed with what's going on.
Bill, man, it's been a minute since we talked. What you got some work done on your teeth? You sound like you got some work done on your teeth or something. Are you good?
No, brother. I'm just brushing my teeth this morning and enjoying the toothpaste taste. You know what I'm saying? You know, minty fresh. You dig? But like I said, I'm just coming by right now. I plan on coming at 12 because I want to come to the voice of the streets. You know what I mean? Of the people and employ that we get Paulie Malignaggi, or let me see, is it Paulina Malignaggi, to put his money where his mouth is, because he been fat mouthing about Lomachenko. Well, bet something, Paulina. I want you to bet that we won't take the Lomachenko fight.
So you are willing to take the fight?
Listen, I don't want to hear that shit. I want Paulina to bet, like he said, that we won't take it.
So
Now,
Devin
he has exactly 3 hours to respond to the bet, because at 12 o'clock, I'll be back on the Boxing Voice to hear him. So everybody that got his number, ring him up and say, we've been hearing you talking all that fat mouth shit. Devin Haney, Bill Haney are on the Boxing Voice at 12, and you back it up. Back it up by a bet. Don't back it up by just talk. We know we always hear what the odds are in the Boxing Voice. We got a chance to see what Devin looked like at the weigh-in. He caught a lot of criticism, right? We also got a chance to see what he did in the fight. He did a lot of good things. So Bill Haney has been thinking about it, thinking hard about it. What do we do? How long is Devin going to have before the next fight? How long do we carry the weight? Do of course, his birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, and all the holidays of the end of the year, which normally we eat, have a nice time, and enjoy the year, right? But if we have something up next year, right, then, it's something for me to think about, and especially a fight like a Lomachenko fight. But while I'm thinking, let's see if Paulina is willing to bet, like he knows boxing like the back of his hand. Well, come on, Paulina, bet something. Bet that Devin Haney will not fight Lomachenko. Give Lomachenko the opportunity that Lomachenko never gave Devin, because that's what you're begging for. Lomachenko has ducked and not fought Devin on several occasions. Now we have all the belts. Like I said again, what do you bet, Paulina? What do you bet that Bill Haney and Devin Haney aren't great for the sport of boxing and always looking to give the people what they want, the fights that they want, right? And that's where I'm at with it.
Bill, so how much do you want to bet? Is it up to him, the
Oh,
amount?
yeah, tell him to make it light on himself. But if he's very convinced, then he should make a fortune.
So you're basically announcing that Devin is staying at 135.
Hey, Ness, I'm trying to get a bet right now. That's what I'm coming to the people for. I'm trying to get my money on.
So 50,000 or
Listen, 50, 50. Listen, to start at 50,000 would be a great bet. Would be a great bet and let's see. Well, because we know the fight is worth millions, so 50,000 ain't no real money. You know what I'm saying? But it is the kind of money that a guy will either shut up or put up. Amen.
Yeah.
absolutely.
BH, I want to ask first and foremost, first time speaking to you since the fight, so congratulations. On that, gotta ask, will you guys be in New York this weekend?
Um, Maybe I'm going to Puerto Rico. I'm going to Puerto Rico for the WBO convention, right? So I'll be out there because Ness, we both know what kinds of things happen at the conventions. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to pop in, say hello to everyone out in Puerto Rico, and do my best to represent Devin and the brand.
We're actually going to the WBC November 5th through the 8th,
11th.
11th. Are you?
I'll be there. I'll be there as well because being a champion means being being very conscious of your mandatories, conscious of the fighters that come behind us, and we don't represent the franchise. I believe that Devin is the only man that has won the franchise, but the only man that will not um, use
The
the uh,
status.
use the status to get out of any fight with anyone, right? I think Paulina mentioned something about they tried to make the fight because of the stragglers or the guys that they don't feel that's deserving. Well, boxing, everybody is deserving that gets to the position, right? All these guys work hard, and sometimes their profiles don't call for it, but their boxing does, and we represent that, and we want the other fighters that when they're in the position to challenge, no matter what, no matter how big the public thinks that the fight is, I think you must restore the dignity back to boxing and give the best fighters the chance and not the most popular fighters. Amen.
Totally agree, Bill. Totally agree. I'm actually ah. I was trying to make a great moment in TBV history. I'm communicating with Paulie. He's in Italy. He's not free, but yeah, I'm down to hear Bill's bet. Just let me know.
No, tell him to start at 50,000 right now and make it light on himself. Yes or no. We don't want to hear none of that Italy bullshit, right? Listen, let me tell you one thing about Paulie. He's
He said
he's
5 minutes. He's gonna get to a hotel lobby where it's a bit quieter.
absolutely. And the one thing about Paulie is he have time. You know what I mean? Talking about 5 minutes. Listen, he's fired, retired, and a liar. Oh, no. Let me start off. He's retired, fired, and a liar. You dig what I'm saying? And 5 minutes can't happen soon enough.
So what exactly is he lying about? He's lying about insinuating that you won't take the fight, or did he lie specifically about something?
Well, he lied about us not being in a position, right, to challenge Lomachenko. He lied about us not wanting to fight with Lomachenko. He lied about the franchise status. We listen. We took the belt off of Cambosos, examined it, took a look at it. It has top rank logos all over it. It doesn't represent. It doesn't represent the belts that Sugar Ray had, the belts that Floyd Mayweather had. I mean, it's not even the status that Floyd Mayweather uh, um, had or exhumed in that belt. You know,
For sure, Bill. So what's the timeline for Devin and the Loma fight? And are you guys gonna be present this Saturday for the Loma fight?
like I said, maybe. First, let me see what let me get this bet on. See, I don't want to say what we doing and how we doing it because it's somebody out there that claims to know the boxing like the back of their hand, and they know everything that I'm gonna do. So let him come on here and tell me what I'm gonna do.
Absolutely, man. So, do you know if Devin has interest on being at the fight Saturday night, and has Top Rank showed any interest? Have they sent you, travel plans? Have they asked you, did you want, or did Devin want to be there to witness Loma's fight?
He's always invited to all the fights. It's it's a time where right now he's of course, traveling and he had a few doctor's appointments to make sure everything is working right and not just sore from uh that tremendous fight he participated down there in Australia.
How would you grade his performance yourself after obviously coming back and being able to watch it on television? If you have, what did you think of your son's performance?
Um, a B plus.
Why not A?
Um, there's just some things that we're working on that I would have liked to seen, and then it would have been an A because I know that he can do it. He showed it inside the gym, and it's just he's a tremendous fighter. He's a young fighter, and special by every means, both inside and outside the ring. And it's just an A is hard to get.
BH loves to say that all phrases in life are true, and they say that you know don't judge a book by its cover, and looks can be deceiving. I know, despite the performance, you must have seen the comments regarding the way Devin looked at the way, and some people felt that he looked a bit dry, maybe a bit sucked in. Came in under, didn't have to drop draws, nothing like that. But just wanted your thoughts on that.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, we listen to the people. We're unlike a lot of guys that openly admit that we listen to the people, and the people are the ones that control the narrative with us. Of course, you've got a chance to see what Devin does for the sport. He's never missed weight. What his dedication is, and I was proud of him. You know what I mean? I was proud of him to make the weight again in the way that he does it, regardless of how he looks. That's just the nature of the business. Everyone, when they get on the scale, doesn't look like they do when the fight happens. So, of course, we have a lot of decisions to make as far as a trainer and manager of Dev, that's separate from him as the fighter.
Bill, let me interrupt. I think I might have connected Paulie. Paulie, you there?
What's up, guys? What are you doing?
Bill, can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Well, there you go. You guys take it away.
Hey, so my guy, so you seem to think that you have all the answers about what I'm going to do. So won't you put your money behind your mouth, because you keep running it, and let's bet something.
He said, "What do you got, Bill? You can't hear him, or you can hear him?"
Yeah, I can hear you. What you want to bet? We loaded over here, so let's make it sweet.
Bill, you hear him or no?
No, I don't hear him saying anything.
Okay, go ahead, Paulie.
I said, I'm not the one calling about the bet. You got the bet? What do you want?
Bet 100,000.
What do you want to bet?
Bet 100,000.
100,000. I'm not betting 100,000. I'm not betting. I'm not putting no money. I'm not putting no money on 100,000 on anybody I don't know. All right, so I'm not putting 100,000.
Shut the fuck up, then.
Listen, bro. One second.
Listen, if it was so sure, like the back of your hand, or let me ask you this: do you have 100,000?
What are we betting on first? What are we betting on first? First and foremost, what are we betting on?
You said that we wouldn't take the Lomachenko fight. You said that I'm scared to take it.
You're gonna bet me 100,000 into taking the Lomachenko.
Hold on. You just
let me talk. Now you're gonna let me talk. Now, bro. Bill, now you're gonna let me talk. You want to bet 100,000 for taking a Lomachenko fight? My man, Lomachenko will beat your son's ass. You understand me? You want to bet 100,000 on taking the fight? Bet 100,000 on your son wins the fight. Okay? Forget about taking the fight. Bet 100,000 on your son wins the fight. You got no balls to do that. Bet 100,000 on your son wins the fight. You want to bet me that your son will take the fight? I would give your son credit for taking the fight. I was ready to give your son credit for taking that fight. I was ready to give your son credit if he took the fight. And I'm on the record as saying if he even takes the fight, I'll give him a ton of respect. But he shouldn't even be after my respect. He should be after what's best for him. I'm on the record as saying that. All right. You want to bet 100,000 for taking the fight? I would have given your son credit for even taking the fight. Even if he took an L, I would have took 100. I would have given him credit for taking the fight. Okay. Because like I said, I know he's in a position not to even have to take the fight. Okay. So I would have given him credit, and I'm on the record as saying that. Okay. I stand by my words.
Are you finished?
Are you guys even hearing me on the other side? Are you guys even hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm being very polite and letting you speak. I can hear you. Now are you ready? Now are you finished?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. So you said you know the boxing business like the back of your hand, and I'm gonna tell you, we've been on Lomachenko's ass more than 2 occasions, 2 or 3 occasions. You've talked about the franchise belt. You Mauricio Suleiman, all of you, right? We ended up beating George Kambosos and took that motherfucking franchise belt off of him. We did not apply for it. When we got the franchise belt, let me ask you this. Out of all the belts that you have you ever had a WBC belt?
I have not, no. But the WBC franchise title works the same way as the WBA super title in its original form, which is that they just hand it out to avoid mandatories. I don't agree with the system, Bill. I'm telling you how the system works. I don't agree with the system. I never agreed with the system. I preferred the WBC and WBA titles to stand uniform as they were before, okay? But I didn't make the rules. But under those rules, you guys also have to understand, why not, if you want to fight Lomachenko, do not accept those terms and go try to make the fight. Here's the thing, though, Bill. Here's the thing. At the time, the best lightweight fight to be possibly made was Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, and that's why the WBC started creating these stipulations for Lomachenko. Okay, at the time, your son was an up-and-coming prospect, and your son is a prospect that should have been merited his respect. But at the time, if Lomachenko Haney is made instead of Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, everybody's gonna shit on it. Everybody wants to make the best fight possible in the weight class. Which now is Haney and Lomachenko. But at the time, all this hullabaloo, all this BS with this franchise title was created by them. And again, I don't agree with that. I never agree with these other titles. It was created because the best fight in the lightweight division at the time was Lomachenko Teofimo, and that's the way they had to make it. Now, I'm not saying I agree with it.
That's not the question I asked you. I asked you, had you ever had a WBC belt? And listen, have you ever been franchise champion? No. So you don't know.
I already said I have not.
Okay. But we have the franchise belt. We have the franchise belt at home. And on the franchise belt, have you ever known for a promoter's logo, name, or anything? Have you ever seen Don King on a belt? Have you ever seen Frank Warren on a belt? Have you ever seen Golden Boy on a belt? Any promoter on a belt?
None of the metal, no.
No, not on the metal. Well, on the franchise belt, you have top rank on the belt. So what super belt has a promoter on the belt?
Yo, Bill, you know what? You're right there, man. Again, this is the politics. I mean, like I said, I never defended the super and franchise titles. I just, I just go by how they work. But you know what, bro? Like, I'm not going to defend them now. Yeah, I'm going to tell you how they work, but I'm not going to defend them now. So you gave me even less reason to defend them. Listen, I'm not defending those stipulations, but I never defended those stipulations. I'm not here to defend the sanctioning bodies because they make the rules up as they go along. But I'm just telling you that the reason they did what they did was because in boxing, the best fight in the weight class is always the one that's sought after. At the time, the best fight at the weight class was Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, and that's why they had to put your son aside, regardless of the fact that, in my opinion, your son wasn't ready at the time. In my opinion,
what you're saying is that now that it becomes not the best fighter, but the most popular fighter, right? That then because at the time Devin, you made okay. Would you like to talk?
Time it was Lomachenko. At a lot of time, Lomachenko had 3 belts and Teofimo had 1 belt, right? So it was really.
You interrupted me. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
You said about Devin was not deserving of the fight with Lomachenko, although he was in the position to fight Lomachenko because the world, maybe Top Rank, maybe you and Loma felt that it was a better fight with Teofimo Lopez. Only thing that I said that we were deserving, sir. I could never say what's a better of another man, especially these modern day warriors that get in the ring and sacrifice their complete life for. I can never say that this fight, this one is better than this one, even when one is more deserving. Devin was in the position where he was going to fight Luke Campbell for the vacant belt. I did a deal with Eddie Hearn for that fight to happen because Luke Campbell was with Eddie Hearn. Top Rank then petitioned, and this never happens, where another belt holder from another sanctioning body petitions to fight for a vacant belt. Have you ever known that to happen, sir? Top Rank?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. And like I said, the politics of this game, I don't agree with any of them, bro. So again, with what you're telling me, it doesn't surprise me. I don't agree with any of them. Okay, I'm not here to defend the politics, though, Bill. That's the thing, man. And here's another thing you gotta understand. the best fight in the lightweight division was Lomachenko and Lopez at the time, but that didn't mean your son wasn't a solid prospect. I just didn't like the fact that you guys made like the best fight in the weight class shouldn't happen because Devin should have got the fight and everybody ducked him because of that. Like, that's not a duck. Like, if Errol Spence doesn't fight Jaron Ennis because that's his mandatory and instead wants to fight Bud Crawford, like, that's not a duck of Jaron Ennis, even though Jaron is a terrific fighter. That's just trying to make the best fight in the weight class, which obviously still isn't getting made. But nonetheless, like, that's the same concept here. You know what that I'm trying to bring out. Haney may be ready, just like Jaron was ready, just like Jaron is ready to fight for the title. But like the way the business is structured, you're not gonna do away with the best fight the weight class has to offer to give somebody else a shot. You know what I'm saying? Even though that other guy giving the shot is a good fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how that works, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and I'm not telling you that, and I never said your son wasn't a good fighter, bro. Your son is a good fighter. It's just, you know, it's the way the shit works, man. You know, it's and you guys know that. You know that. And obviously you got to do what you got to do to put your guys in position, yourselves in the right position to get the shot. And in the end, you know, you guys got the shot and beat Kambosos, and you are, you know, like I said, now I don't doubt it. Like, I go around telling everybody Gervonta's belt is fake. You know what I mean? Just like I was doing them before with your son. You know what I mean? Like, I keep the same energy with the stipulations and rules. Like, nobody's gonna tell me that your son doesn't have all the lightweight belts right now. You know what I mean? Nobody, no matter what other crackerjack box belt these other guys got. So it's the same thing. I keep the same energy no matter what, but it's got to be done the same way. And of course, it doesn't help that the sanctioning bodies change the rules up as we go along. That doesn't help, because it doesn't help my cause that I'm trying to keep a principled outlook here.
Let's just stay focused on what actually happened, because that's what you put up. The title was Fraud Alert, and William Haney and Bill Haney. So I don't want to venture off into Boots Ennis and Earl Spence and all those other guys, because then it can derail what our main agenda is to bring light to the people what actually happened. So by Devin being in the WBC tournament that Teofimo Lopez, Devin, Zaur Abdullaev, and Javier Fortuna was in, that tournament was to fight for the vacant belt against Luke Campbell. Teofimo Lopez got out of the tournament and said that he was going to go another route, although it was mandated by the WBC. And that's a notorious thing that he said that he was going to go. Why go the harder route and stay in the WBC? So as Lomachenko,
is that when he fought Comey? Is that when?
No, he fought Nakatani. He left and fought Nakatani.
Okay.
He left the tournament and fought Nakatani, and then he fought Richard Comey. And Lomachenko was in his longest layover. Even the war hasn't kept him out of the ring longer than he was out of the ring, quote unquote, waiting for Teofimo Lopez ducking Devin Haney. It was over maybe a year or something like that we were in a position where we were the interim champion. We were the interim champion. We went down, and I sent a representative down to the WBC convention that Ness was there, Carl Moretti, my good guy John Hornhuer, right? And what you got to understand is, Paulie, we have a promotional company, and we've been going to these conventions, forever. And like, I'm going to the WBO convention later today. We went to the convention, and during the convention, the people must know is when you get to the convention, you know what the pertinent business is at hand, right? And we got there, and Lomachenko, this franchise stuff, we were coming to the fight to ask the WBC to mandate that fight. And when we got to the convention, right, we heard of this franchise status, and everyone was laughing and joking about it and all that, as if it was just okay to duck. It was okay to duck, and the world wasn't going to know that he was ducking, right? But it took for us to beat George Kambosos to actually get the duck belt, right? We have it. I haven't thrown it in the trash. We didn't carry it to the ring. We don't exercise the status of it, but we have it. To let the people know that the guys that don't want the fights to happen with the people that's most deserving will take that status, right? And that's just not what being 23 represents. So what I'm saying to you is, we can double the bet. If you bet the same thing that Devin won't take the fight, and bet the same thing that he will lose the fight. How about that?
Mm-hmm. No, because then you're covered. Then you're covered if you lose the fight. No, I'm not doing that. You're covered if you lose the fight, bro. Because you can also take the fight and also pull out of it. You can do a lot of things. Let me just give my 2 cents before we continue with that part of the conversation. My 2 cents is this, okay? Everything is also perception. Again, it can be looked at as a duck. I know you don't want to talk about the Spence and Joanna situation because we're going to lose focus on it. But in reality, it's a logical example because again, it's not a duck if somebody is looking to make a bigger fight in the weight class. And in terms of deserving, a unification is always taking precedence over the mandatory. A unification is always more important, and a unification is always going to take precedence over it. Now, just because the WBC wanted to take an extra sanctioning fee so they clear this franchise belt, yeah, exactly. But yeah, just because the WBC is going to take an extra sanctioning fee by saying, hey, you know what, just like the WBA does now, where you can say, hey, you know what, we can take 2 world titles in 1 weight class and we can take 2 sanctioning fees. And just because they want to do that doesn't make it right either. You know what I'm saying? Like the WBC had to make a choice there. Either they're going to make Haney the mandatory and fight Lomachenko next, or they're going to disallow the mandatory in favor of the unification fight, which tends to happen, and then not allow Haney to take a secondary belt. Instead, what they did, hey, you know what? They said, you know what? We're going to be greedy. We're going to take 2 sanctioning fees, so we're going to do both. We're going to give Haney a world title, and we're going to franchise Lomachenko so he can make the unification with Lopez. So I'm not going to defend that action either, Bill. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to defend the WBC's action. I'm here translating it for everybody. A duck is a really strong word to use when you're trying to make a bigger fight. You know what I'm saying? But of course, from your perspective, you have the right to be agitated about it. It's the politics of the game. Fucking of course, man. You have the right to be agitated about it and state your case too. But a duck is an awfully strong word to use when you're making a bigger fight in respect to that. Because again, a unification is always going to take precedence over the mandatory. We've seen that in the past. It's just that they don't always have to make another belt and give both guys a belt in the process.
Okay, so what you had was being described as the 4 kings, the 4 young kings of boxing. You had Gervonta Davis, you have Ryan Garcia, you had Devin Haney, and Teofimo Lopez, the 4 kings, and you have the long-standing, very successful, very talented Lomachenko as the fifth person, the veteran, so to speak. None of these 4 guys had any major belt in the lightweight division at this particular time when they were being described, and it was which 4 kings would make it to the top. Unfortunately for Lomachenko, if you believe that the Teofimo Lopez was the best fight, he didn't win it. When he picked one of the kings, right? He could have picked Ryan, he could have picked Devin, he could have picked Tank. He picked
Unification was there. I don't.
Excuse me.
Yeah, of course, but I don't think Lomachenko was after us at a particular person. He was after unifying the title.
Let me be quiet while you interrupt me. Go ahead.
No, Bill, go ahead. I'm just telling you why Lopez was chosen because you're taking it out of context. You're taking it out of context. Lopez was chosen because of the IBF title. That's the only reason Lopez was chosen. That's it. Go ahead.
Okay. So as one of the 4 kings, it's a notorious video of Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney both believing that the first one to get to Lomachenko was going to win the fight. Like I said, unfortunately, for Lomachenko and the Lomachenko fans that wanted him to accomplish the dream of undisputed, he was derailed by the first king that he ran into, which was Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez then ran into the emperor, who was, I guess he emerged as an emperor and not a king. Teofimo loses to him. Ryan Garcia moves up. Gervonta Davis opts to remain an attraction, and it left with Devin Haney. And Devin beat George Kambosos not once but twice down there in Australia. And it was a fight that was available for Lomachenko, but he went to the war. But the war is still going on, and I don't know. For all intent purposes, I want to say that he ducked going down there and doing that shit twice after seeing the ass whipping that George Kambosos put on Teofimo Lopez. And George and his gym are hell of a guys, man. They offered Teofimo a rematch right there in the ring. So with us, we felt that it was the same thing, right? We know that it was a lopsided performance the first time, and we knew that we'd catch flack for going down there. But the guy had actually offered Teofimo a rematch right after the fight. So going into the negotiations, I negotiated and I said, okay, that's what you want. I talked to Dev. Dev said, give me the one-way rematch clause, right? So I say all this to say that I don't believe that you believe that we won't take the fight after talking to you. I think that you did a lot of antagonizing, unnecessary antagonizing. You've also you spoke to Devin's character, which was out of line. You as a professional and you as being in this sport
I
of
mean,
boxing,
put on Twitter. He put on Twitter that I could suck his dick. So I mean, that kind of put it. That's only the only time I started speaking a little bit more after that. But yes, go ahead.
oh, he got it from you. He got it from you and fighters like you that were very outspoken about guys being in their business that didn't understand the full spectrum of the business, right? You can say what you think, but Paulie, the only person that knows your business is you. Is you. So anytime anyone got in your business or said something, you were very outspoken. Um, on down to even you as a retired fighter. Um, so that's just the price that we get. We can't, when we get in someone's business, the penalty for getting in it, we can't choose the penalty as well. But I also can say, excuse, my son for certain language that he uses that's not appropriate towards other men. You know what I'm saying? And inviting you to his private part is something that he said out of frustration and not actually him being the person that he is.
I'll let you finish now. I'm gonna go, Bill. And first and foremost, I think we agree on almost most of what you said here. I think we agree on most of what you said here. One thing I don't agree with is Lomachenko was scared of Kambosos. Lomachenko had the fight signed after Kambosos already beat Teofimo. They announced it. Eggers Klimas announced it, and then he went off to the war. So I think we disagree on that. But for the most part, we agree on a lot of it. Also, in terms of your son saying that, I mean, bro, like I said, you said, I mean, I was the same way. I'm not going to have a problem because I know I don't take stuff like that personally. I think that a young fighter is supposed to want to, be up out of his skin, jumping at every opportunity to, return trash talk and do all that. I don't even take that personal. But of course, you got to also go with the back and forth once that kind of starts. You know what I'm saying? So once that kind of starts, you got to also, like you said, it's not about the punishment. It's more so the banter. You're going to return banter back and forth. Personally, man, I think this brought a lot of attention to the fight. So if the fight gets made, personally, I think it brought a lot of attention. If it doesn't get made, I'll be right. If it gets made, we'll see if I'm right. If Dev beats Lomachenko, but ultimately, like I said, I think in closing, I never called your son a bad fighter, so I don't want you to ever think I thought your son was a bad fighter. I just thought your son was a good fighter, not yet ready for the title, but he would be ready for the title. But he was trying to make like he was ready for the title before he was ready for the title. And honestly speaking, with your son now being the undisputed lightweight champion, he showed that his time was going to come. And now, like I said, I mean, now, do you take the Lomachenko fight? Do you not take the Lomachenko fight? You have a lot of options. And honestly speaking, again, I mean, it's an in-house personal business type of decision. That, yeah, if somebody speaks on other people's business and they're not, and they're wrong, or they're not, they don't know it as much as the inside. Sure, I mean, you have a right to defend yourself and whatnot. But I think ultimately, if this fight gets made, I think there's a bigger part of boxing that's interested in this fight because of what we've just discussed and what's been being discussed throughout this whole thing. And also, WBC confusing things didn't help either.
Bill, let me just jump in real quick because
Paulie, because he's about to leave. Hold on a second. Let me ask a question. So, were you one of the ones that were concerned about the way that Devin looked on the scale, Paulie, or were you the ones that was happy? One of the ones that was happy about it?
I wasn't really concerned or happy. I wasn't really thinking about it. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I didn't watch even. I didn't even see the weigh-in. I see the fights, and your son fought two great fights with Kambosos, and bro, I've said it in the past. I think your son's boxing style reminds me of the style that I fought in some ways. You know what I mean? Where he uses his natural athletic ability to simplify the fight as much as possible. And unless somebody complicates his life, he will win in a simple fashion. And that's sort of the same approach that I took. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't going to complicate my life if I didn't have to. You know what I mean? I could beat you with speed, and I could beat you with a jab, and I could beat you with counterpunching and legs. And that's I see Devin with a lot of that. Well, obviously, no two fighters are exactly alike, but I see Devin with a lot of that. So like I said, I mean, I would never, and I'm not on the record ever as saying that Devin Haney's a bad fighter. I just, like I said, things came around to where his time was going to come, and it came. It just wasn't his time at the time. But I still think I'll be honest with you, man, I don't think he can beat Lomachenko, but only you guys know on the inside how you feel about the fight, how you feel about the weight, and how you feel business wise, because again, it's a lot easier to move up in weight as the undisputed lightweight champion that vacated the titles than it is to move up in weight as a former undisputed champion with an L. So, there's pros and cons to everything. If you feel like you're going to beat Lomachenko or not beat Lomachenko, that's between you and your son.
Paulie, he did drop off, but I do want to just ask one question. Like, what do you not feel?
Did he drop off on purpose, or did he was tired of the convo, or did he drop off because he lost the one?
I think he dropped off due to internet. But I'll let you go. Okay. I just want to ask one thing. Like, don't you respect him more because of the similarities, the lack of punching power, going to another country to win a world title? Like, don't you feel attached to Devin because of that?
I did that too. My second world title, I went to a foreign country and I won the title. I see a lot of that. I can like a fighter, and in this case, I don't like or dislike. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. In this case, I don't like or dislike Devin. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, I'm kind of neutral about it. I've taken a liking to Lomachenko due to the fun fights that he's given and things I've seen him accomplish since the amateurs. But in reality, I don't have a like or dislike for Devin Haney. Yeah, there's a respect for doing what he did. I've never, I don't know. Like, it feels like I gave the example of when I liked Arturo Gatti, right? He was always my favorite fighter. But I went to Atlantic City against Mayweather, knowing he was going to get his ass kicked. You know what I'm saying? Like, me liking or disliking you has nothing to do with the way I feel, if I feel you're going to win a fight or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't put my emotions into my analysis. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then if I'm wrong in the analysis, bro, I go and tell you I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'll go and tell you I'm right. And I'll go tell you why I was right, or I'll go and tell you why I was wrong, because I can break it down the way it is and the way it happens once it happens. But honestly, it wasn't personal. And honestly, as a 23-year-old kid, I never took it personal either when he put out that tweet. But I did think that the banter created was only going to hype things up more. Because honestly, I was always a good trash talker when I fought. Obviously, I'm not going to get into the back and forth like I'm fighting Devin, because obviously I'm not a fighter anymore. But I think the back and forth has attracted more attention to the potential fight and to the careers of Haney and Lomachenko in general.
Paulie, a couple months ago, we had a beautiful conversation where you disagreed very passionately with Nestor and I when we told you that Devin would 10-2 George Kambosos in that first fight. That being said, Devin beats Loma. Is there anything that you can then say?
I'm dead wrong. I never thought Devin wasn't a better boxer than Kambosos. I just thought that going to Australia and it would be a tough fight going to Australia. You know what I'm saying? And for a young kid, but I don't really ever think I thought Kambosos' style was a problem for Devin. But of course, being in a foreign country, you're going to deal with a lot of bull crap. And I remember going to Ukraine and they were dealing with bull crap even at the gloving table and all that other crap. You know what I'm saying? So I can remember like that. And I wasn't sure how a 23-year-old kid or a 22-year-old kid at the time, however old he was going to deal with that. You know, but I never doubted Devin's talent. I just maybe doubted the moment might have been too much for him at the time in his life. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he did that. Honestly, in the rematch, once I saw that fight, bro, I knew the rematch was going to be the same. You know what I mean? Like once I saw that, I was like, okay, that didn't bother him at all. And he's clearly more talented than Kambosos. And I also could tell that Kambosos is who he is, and there's no way he can make any possible adjustments.
Paulie, I know you're busy and in vacation in Italy, but I don't think anyone's ever given you the opportunity to talk about your side. And since I got you, if you feel up to it, if you're busy, it's all good. But, you get some shit on the internet because somebody or some people like to say that you said, and I'm quoting the internet, I want you to tell us what you actually said, but they're basically saying that you said the era of the black fighter is over. It's the era of the European fighter. So I defend you.
That was a bit out of context, because also you gotta understand, when I did that interview, like, it wasn't something we stayed on. Like, it was just like, it was something I said. There was no follow-up question, and the interviewer wanted to move on to other subject matters. I think he wanted to talk about Deontay Wilder and other subject matters. So I said that, and then there was not really a follow-up. I didn't feel like there was a need to explain myself. Like, I didn't think it was going to be that complicated of a touching matter when I said it. And I think I just started answering whatever other questions he had for me. But yeah, and now getting to say it, the reason I said that is this. All of boxing history, the Eastern Europeans have been in communism until 1990. Okay, so you never saw them. All of boxing history doesn't include them, yet they've always had a great amateur boxing system. Since 1990, they've been allowed to turn pro, but not all of them have turned pro, because some of them are still stuck with the same cultural thing of staying in the amateurs, especially the first 10 years after communism. So a lot of them still stayed in the amateurs even up until 2000, 2005. I can remember guys like Oleg Saitov winning a gold medal or even 2 gold medals at welterweight and never turning pro. I can remember Gaidarbekov who beat Gennady Golovkin in the Olympic finals, never turned pro. There was certain guys, even the culture still kind of kept them in the amateurs, even though they were allowed to turn pro. But the ones that were turning pro were being pretty dominant. So I was saying they're an ascending culture because you're going to see more and more of them at the top of the sport as they start to more and more turn pro. That never meant that blacks are going to suddenly disappear from boxing. Like, that would be moronic to think that. But nonetheless, they are now the ascending culture. They are the culture that's coming up the ladder as the ones to fear when you catch them in your weight class. You know what I'm saying? And maybe there's probably not as many as there are African American or black fighters in general, because a lot of them also go to MMA. A lot of the Eastern Europeans also dominate MMA. They don't just dominate in boxing. But of course, that doesn't mean you're not going to eliminate the Hispanics and African Americans or blacks, because there's black fighters from England too. That doesn't mean you're just going to eliminate them from the conversation just because now the Eastern Europeans arrived. But I'll tell you this way: if you got an Eastern European in your weight class, the odds are he's going to beat your ass. You know what I'm saying? That's usually going to be the best guy. Usually. Not every time, but usually. You know what I'm saying? That's usually how it's going to work.
Paulie, we got Bill back.
Bullshit, Paulie.
Bill, you came in mid-conversation. Come on, Bill. Go ahead. Give me your take.
Stop that bullshit. You're not gonna bet nothing on it. So stop it. You just giving your fucking opinion, and opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one. And unfortunately, you want to bet Lomachenko versus Haney? Once again, you trying to interrupt me, but I'm saying this. Listen, I got time and I got patience, but sometimes I don't have a lot of juice on my phone, so I put it on the charger, right? But listen to this. Paulie, is that you got to put some money behind. You have a podcast, right? And you're using your podcast to rally up and race bait. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want somebody to ask you those questions and they're out of context, but you have a 20-year-old Devin that you keep bringing up this shit about race, man. Ain't nobody talking about race. Losing to white people, winning with white people. Bro, can't we just stop it? You're too old for that shit, man.
Those statements that I made. That's why I was having this conversation, Bill. I didn't just bring this up out of nowhere. Nestor asked me to address those comments, so that's why we were discussing this, Bill.
Yeah, but they were out of context. They were out of context. You use them out of context. You don't think that they were appropriate, right? And you're old. You're old as me. You know what I'm saying? And Devin is young, right? And he made some statements, but you're the only European person that keeps bringing the shit up, like race baiting. And I'm saying you're a fighter, so you know trash talk, right? You've been trash talking for a long time, but that doesn't mean trash talking you're trying to be racist, man. You know what I'm saying? And I don't feel that. But let me tell you one thing, though.
Bill, it sells, though. It sells. It gets the most comments, doesn't it, though? It gets the most comments. Whether we agree with it or not, that gets the most comments. That gets people hooked on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you bring that up, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but it's the most marketed selling point. Go ahead.
What Adrian Broner did to you, Adrian Broner, we don't feel that way. You know what I'm saying? You guys had a fight. I was there. And I seen you guys fight, and I knew, and I saw in the back when Adrian Broner said the stuff. You remember me sitting there with you? I was sitting there with you, and you had all your guys there. That was me. I was sitting there talking to you, right? And I was telling you that it's not worth it because Adrian was on there talking on the during the press conference, and you were in there during this press conference ready to bum rush it. And I was the man that was talking to you with the level head because you had a bunch of guys with you that was ready to tear shit up. Do you remember that?
I wish I did, man. I was so up in my head at that time, man. I didn't, man. I wish I did remember this because obviously looking back, I appreciate that somebody like that did tell me that because I would have messed up the whole fight and it would have messed up everything. Because ultimately, it was better off that we fought than we didn't fight. Me and Adrian, made it better off that we fought in the ring.
No, this was after you guys fought. You came to his press conference, huh?
Oh, yeah. I can remember somebody. Yeah. I can remember somebody. Yeah. Now I'm remembering. Yeah. I'm vaguely remembering. But there was some. Phil, you just hit me. Phil. Yeah, there was the guy with the Cincinnati Reds hat who said something to me, and I lost my mind or something. Oh man.
And I said no. Because the guy from the Cincinnati Reds had from Adrian Broner's team. But you were in his press conference. You were standing in the back, and I told you, and you had all the guys with you, and I told you, I said, man, it ain't worth it, Paulie. It ain't worth it. What he said to you guys are fighters. The fight is over with. You know what I mean? And you guys got a lot to be proud about.
You're right, man. I remember now. Yeah, I was thinking before the fight. I couldn't remember. But yeah, after the fight, I remember. Okay, yes, I appreciate that, Bill. Looking back, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate that.
So Devin Haney, Lomachenko.
The bet.
What's the bet?
What's the bet, man? I'm not gonna. Now you got me on the spot. I mean, what do you got me like Devin now.
Bill suggested. So Paulie,
I think the fair bet.
What do you want me to? You want me to bet that? You want me to bet that I never do Paulie TV again? What do you want me to do? You want me to bet that? Give up the channel?
Oh shit!
But not. Here's the thing. I don't want to bet. I don't want to root against Devin in the fight. I want to see the best fight possible. But bro, if I gotta put up the Paulie TV channel, then it's gonna make me root for Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd rather just watch the fight and see the fight. You know what I'm saying? I want the fight to happen. But especially now that Bill just told me this history we have together. Like I don't want to root against his son like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, man. I mean, hey, you guys, if you want me to put up Paulie TV. I mean, we'll put up Paulie TV. Or do I have to give? I don't know. If I keep it, I got to give Devin a certain amount of airtime on Paulie TV every year.
Hold on. If Devin beats Lomachenko, you got to change your profile picture to Devin for a whole year.
Damn, for a whole year. Wait, Bill dropped off. He must. Oh, he's back. He got another call. Bill. So what you gonna make the bet, Bill? What you gonna make the bet?
Well, let me say I have to value the Paulie TV at what's the projection of Paulie TV and what's that worth?
Now, honestly, Paulie.
What are we putting up? That's not.
Honestly, Paulie's doing his thing. I ain't gonna front. Paulie's doing his thing, and he's gaining traction at a fast pace compared to other content creators. Obviously, you got to credit that being him, a professional fighter. But just put him in comparison with Sean Porter. Who people may argue that is more accomplished as a pro. They got about the same amount of subs if Paulie's not past him.
Mm-hmm.
So trajectory-wise, he's got a good channel and it should continue to grow.
Listen,
what do you guys want me to do? You guys want me to?
Paulie, you have a great channel. You're reaching out to the people. You're working really hard. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be big things that's going to happen to you, just like if it happened to you your whole life. I mean, you guys, Devin, Tank and all them. I mean, Adrian Broner, you guys are special, man. And things have happened for you your entire fucking life. I understand that. I know that. You see what I'm saying? But what you've used your platform to do and discredit us, right? For us being in the position of boxing, and you've not seen Devin on the scale, right? and then know what a tough decision it takes for me to make to continue fighting him at 135, sir.
Listen, Bill, I don't. I wouldn't have had the issue if the duck thing hadn't been pushed so much, bro. You know what I mean? Like that was my thing. And like I explained to you, a duck is a strong word to use when you're trying to make the best fight the lightweight division has to offer. And Devin wasn't a part of that at the time. You know, so use the word duck is awfully difficult. But from the flip side, if that hadn't been worked, I mean, dude, this is common sense. If your son has trouble making weight, man, I didn't want to move up to the welterweight division, bro. Shit, I was always a small welterweight, but you know, at a certain point, I had to, man. No matter what I wanted to do, right? So I mean, you guys know better than me about that whole weight class situation and all of that, and you guys know what's best for yourselves. And honestly, bro, like, I don't want to be put in a position after what you just told me after the Adrian Broner fight that we have that history that I'm rooting against your son. Not that I'm saying that doesn't make me dislike Lomachenko, doesn't make me like Haney. It makes me want to see the fight, but I don't. If you're gonna put me, I mean, go ahead. I mean, you call it. You know what I mean? We got on the phone. You call it. What do you think? Because honestly, if what you're saying is if you're angling to what I think you're angling at, it's not worth it for Devin to fight at lightweight anymore. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling like you're angling at. That's the angle I feel like you're taking here.
No,
for the weight, of course.
Listen, what you said was that Lomachenko had options. What you said, Teofimo Lopez had options. Devin has the undisputed title, something that, you know, a lot of guys, including Lomachenko, has dreamed about, you know. And Devin is not making the decision right now in terms of what the next move is. I'm making the decision. And one thing that stood out to me was when you did the public service announcement was that you knew exactly what I was doing and you knew exactly what the next move, and you knew it for sure. So that's what gave me the conclusion. I said, well, bet something. If you know something that's for sure about it, then bet it, you know. But of course you answered and you says that you didn't want to bet that, you don't know for sure, and that was what we were getting at. I didn't never say that it was yay or nay. You know, I'm still weighing the options, right? I'm still as the business behind the Devin Haney brand. You know, considering, you know, what Devin's next move is going to be. As a trainer, I'm looking at him and his weight. I'm looking at what we have to go through during the holidays. You know, and then weighing out what the next move will be.
Bill,
I got you. I know that makes sense. I mean, like I said, I've gone through weight struggles myself, so I understand where you're coming from. And at 23 years old, it's still a physically growing body. Males fill out a little bit till a little bit later in life than females do. So I get it, you know what I mean? But again, I mean, it's also something I said from the beginning with the Kambosos fight was after Devin beat Kambosos. I said the third fight would probably tell you if Devin would extend with Top Rank or not. But they would try to get him beat by Lomachenko if he would not extend with Top Rank. And again, that's you guys' business, not mine. But from my knowledge in the business, promoters do not want you to leave with titles if you're going to leave them. So I put that out there at the time. But again, and you got me now thinking, man, because like I said, that was you that's probably saved me a lot of money. That probably saved me a lot of money in that post-fight press conference, man. So I don't know, man. Well, how do you want to do it, Bill?
No, we're not bad guys. We're here doing just what you did for years and years and years. Put the sport on your back and carry it for your community, for your, you know, for your loved ones. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what Devin is doing. It's nothing played, nothing fraud about us. I'm easily accessible, you know, through a lot of the channels, you know, just like Ness called you right up and you got right on. You know, ain't nothing been fraud about you ever, and there's nothing fraud about us. You know, I think that you make statements that are controversial statements. Now, after what you're saying is you consciously make them and you know what you're doing. But Devin at 23, he was speaking from the heart, and sometimes, you know, when you speak from the heart, it doesn't come across.
Of course, and I've been and I've been 23 years old as well, so I know. You know, when we're young, we react a little more. When we're older, we think a little more. I've also realized that, you know, because I consciously do these things, I also realize what conversations gain more traction, even if they're controversial. You know what I'm saying? Controversy sells on these kind of platforms. You know, so you know, you know, it's also part of the reason why the growth
Shout
so
out
much.
to you, Punch. Shout out to you and Punch Drunk. All the teamwork you guys been doing to keep this racism, you know what I mean, topic hot and for the people. But I choose to take the other approach. I choose to take the road of, you
Make it
know,
sound like that, man. Why you gotta make it sound like that?
because I choose to take the road. Like I said, I had an opportunity with you a long time ago. You see what I'm saying? That shows the character of us is that we care. We, you know, I can't come on here in front and then Adrian Broner and them. You know, I could have antagonized you. I could have been encouraging you. You know what I mean? We could, you know, I could have did a lot of things other than, you know, try to come to a man when a man needs somebody sensible to talk to him, whether they're black, brown, white, or candy stripe. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not us.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, it
No,
looks like.
I appreciate it, Bill. I appreciate it, Bill.
So,
Well,
but
guys,
if I kill that narrative, if I could kill that narrative
Guys, I would.
and stop it, I would. You know what I'm saying? I would stop it, you know, about Devin and that comment. You know, he was definitely talking about Loma, but he was frustrated by the business part of it, because, you know, there was a lot of things happening to him that we know about. You know, as far as that fight, we know that what Top Rank did, excellent promotional outfit, and they did something called protecting their fighter, right? And they were protecting Loma for a fight that he could have lost because he lost to Tio, and they instead of losing to Devin, they preferred the lesser of two evils would have been him losing to Tio.
Paulie, you
No,
still there?
I'm here. Sorry, man. But I heard what you're saying, Bill. The lesser of two evils. Again, that part where we may disagree on, because again, Theo had the IBF title, and I think that was strictly a matter of conscious decision making for Lomachenko, because Theo had something that he wanted. But again, I mean, that's not to say I'm right or you're right in that situation. That's an opinion situation. But for me, the way I see that situation was Theo had the IBF title, and then he had the final part of the undisputed title, and Loma wanted that fight, you know, because of the IBF title. I think if your son had a title at that time, he would have went for that one. The way he was made to understand from Mauricio, who obviously the sanctioning bodies flip flop anytime they get a chance to, is that he was the righteous owner of the WBC title, and the undisputed title will be on the line with Teofimo Lopez, and that's what Lomachenko was after, and when he fought Teofimo Lopez. But nonetheless, for the most part, I think we agree on most of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, we disagree on a couple of little tidbits, but ultimately, that's a decision you guys got to make when it comes to the scale, because it's a decision I've been in that position to have to make at times as well. So,
hey, Paulie,
that's it, man.
Can I ask you a question, just to ask the people, because you've been in this sport a lot longer than us, and you know the behind the scenes. For a long time, blacks had no representation in the media, and even Hispanics had no representation in the media here in the U.S. for quite some time. Do we not agree about that?
At a certain point before our time, I think, Ray Leonard was the biggest star of his generation, and he was a champion before I was born, and I think before you were born, Bill. But Mike Tyson came around in my childhood. Again, those conversations can be had, but again, they can be debated as well. If we go more further down the line, yeah, then there's obviously a place there where I'll definitely agree. But as far as when it gets to closer to our generation, it starts to be a conversation point. But I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there.
Well, you have pro-black, you have, I believe, La Raza, pro-Mexican, right? I don't know what would be pro.
You have pro everything. Boxing's very, very cultural in that way. Yeah.
Right. So when everyone, I think the LDBC catches a lot of flack. They've caught flack from you publicly, and I totally support the LDBC, and I totally support what they attempt to do in giving the black fighters a voice and a platform. And that's just the way that it is. So I want to kind of just address that, and not it being racism, right? But either just being pro your culture, pro your race, pro, your community, and that's what I think that the LDBC represents. And I think that they caught a bad rap with explaining it to everything. Now I don't mind trolls or I would say casuals, but casuals don't actually know what's going on, so you don't give them necessarily the same weight or credence you do. But a guy like you that's been in the business for so long, to see channels that are making content that are helping the fighters, right? And you even understand that you just said for yourself that racism somewhat helps sells the fights, helps sells the content, right? So, and you've been in the business a lot longer than probably anybody in the LDBC, right? So I just think that they continue to catch a bad rap about this racism shit. And I have a voice, I have a platform. I'm working in the business, so I feel compelled to support openly and publicly support, because they're doing a good thing.
If that's the kind of word you would use here, is tribalism. People kind of gravitate to their own kind, people they have a lot in common with. I remember growing up, Arturo Gatti was my favorite fighter, and I ended up fighting nothing like him. But he was that Italian family that moved to North America and tried to make something better of himself, and ended up becoming a fighter. So I related to him, and so he became my favorite fighter. Now, granted, I think he's a lot of people's favorite fighter because he was in exciting fights. But for me, he was my favorite fighter because I could relate to him. So I think we always gravitate to what we can relate to, and tribalism is in boxing. I think is very, 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 very particular, and I don't think it's a bad thing because I think it's always sold on that, But I think there's ways to fan the flames in where it's producing hate and when it's not producing hate, and like for example, if a white fighter, if a European fighter in general is pro-European fighters, that's going to be considered racist. You know what I'm saying? But if a guy, and you just hear me out for argument's sake here, because if I go too far, it's gonna because I'll be in the position to get in trouble in some ways. But if you can have the LDBC can have a YouTube channel. If you have a pro-European fighter channel, the odds are it'll get enough complaints to where it'll be wiped out. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't have a problem with the tribalism in boxing. I think it sells the most. People always gravitate to what they relate to the most. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with it not being evenly balanced out. That I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with, channels being pro-black fighter. Just don't make like, oh, this white fighter gets more opportunity because he's white. And at the end of the day, because I've been getting a lot of, in this debate particularly, I've been getting a lot of, Lomachenko got a title shot in his second fight because he was white. No, Lomachenko got a title shot in his second fight because he was a two-time Olympic gold medalist, and nobody wants to watch him go through the prospect stages, tearing up guys that have no hope of winning anyway. What I'm saying? Why waste everybody's time and just put him, why don't we just put him directly in title fights, which is better television and creates better interest anyway, right? So, but, that's what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with the tribalism. I have a problem with then playing like, oh, well, this guy gets it because of this, or this guy gets it because of that. Hispanic fighters tend to get a lot of love because they sell tickets, and tickets selling is a business, right? So Hispanics are very popular in North America. So you know what? They're gonna become stars, and when they become stars, green is the color that everybody wants to go after, right? So when you have a high selling fighter, the green, it ends up creating situations for them. How many Canelo being a good fighter, how many stipulations have kind of been overstepped for the sake of Canelo? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about the franchise title. Jamal Charlo, I thought, should have got the shot at Canelo. He never got it, right? Because they franchised Canelo as well in that moment. So I think situations are created based on money more so than based on race. But for the fans' point of view, the tribalism is, it's always going to be a selling point. And I don't really have a problem with that.
Yeah, well, Listen, I think
We're here. We're here,
we had a
Paulie.
healthy conversation. I think we had a healthy conversation. It was good to get a chance to, talk to you. I as man to man, you know what I mean? And I think that,
I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Shout out to the Boxing Voice and the platform for always keeping keeping it open and keeping it lit for the fans. You know what I mean? And stay tuned. We'll be announcing something real soon. Paulie, any last words?
Bill, you know what I mean? Like I think like I was a hater more than just trying to call it like I see it. And of course, calling it like I see it sometimes can be controversial, as has been the case in a lot of my career in general. But I'm glad we had this conversation. Like I said, just in closing, my issue was Devin, can move to the super lightweight division. It's probably healthier for him, but I just didn't think that Lomachenko was ducking Devin. I thought it was just a choice of fighting for the IBF title and trying to unify the titles. That was the more important fight to chase at that moment. And Devin also didn't have as big of a name in that instance because he didn't have one of the major titles. Doesn't mean that Devin shouldn't have got a title shot. Now, that's a personal decision, but that's where I came from when I came with that. So it's like I didn't like the whole elevating oneself to disseminate somebody else when it's probably a little bit of the truth is always in the gray area more than it is in the black or white. And that was where I came from. But all respect to you, Bill. And honestly, I didn't remember the post-fight press conference thing until you reminded me of it, man. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you looking out for me back then, because it would have probably been worse for me if I did anything stupid back then.
Absolutely. You're an intelligent guy, man. You know what I mean? I just was I'm glad I got a chance to, share a moment with a warrior like you. Got a chance to talk to Adrian that day. You know what I mean? You guys are so much inspiration and motivation for Devin, to speak his mind, speak what's on his heart. Because both you guys, man, that's what made you guys. Not only could you fight like hell, is that you spoke from the heart. You know what I mean? And that's all that we can expect to be entertained, is to be able to have you guys do that. And right now, you're keeping it lit, and I don't expect you to do anything else different. Okay, so talk to you soon, brother.
Man, listen, Bill, I've also defended Haney. I've also defended your son because, I've come across situations where people talk about Devin fought a boring fight in the Kambosos fight the first time. And, bro, like I said, a lot of that mentality, the way he fights and the way he handles it, the way he comports himself in the ring, a lot of that was, physically the way I tried to handle myself in the ring, So I've also defended your son in those situations too. So I don't want everybody to think that it was just like it was one-sided. You know what I mean? And you'll notice I've never, while there may have been people trying to not understand the performance Devin gave in the first Kambosos fight. I've also put it out there, of why Devin is how he is and the things that he does and why he doesn't need to do certain other things in the ring and why he's so effective, So I just want to put it back out there as well that, it wasn't just all one-sided in that regard.
You dig what I'm saying? But guess what, though, Paulie? Because boxing, what we was really doing was practicing that right hand for a southpaw. We just had to do it under the lights. You know what I'm saying? So we was going to make it a right-hand fest like it will be against the next southpaw that we face.
Either way, it was a masterclass. I appreciated watching it personally, but, some people don't understand this thing at a high IQ level,
Yes, sir. All right, well, you guys have a good one, because I think, the worldwide, the chat, and everyone else would prefer that we remained enemies, but we can be always friends, and we can always agree to disagree.
Yeah.
We can agree to disagree. And it never.
And I think we agreed with most of this.
Huh?
I think we agreed with most of this. We only disagreed on a couple little points, but I think we agree on most of this.
Yeah. The meat and potatoes of it, we agree. And keep doing what you're doing. Keep pushing the sport forward. And actually, we need all the voices. We need the whole rainbow, right? We need black, brown, Mexican, white. We need all of the voices, right, of our community, of our world, to share and have an input in this great sport of boxing that we participate in. And sometimes, whether it comes in Spanish whether it comes in Chinese, sometimes, we don't necessarily understand, but we should all appreciate the energy that they're putting forward towards the sport, because we won't always agree with the tone or the etiquette.
Amen, Bill. Amen.
Appreciate you, brothers. Shout out to the Boxing Voice, the voice of the people who made it happen today with Bill Haney and Paulie.
Shout out,
you,
Bill.
gentlemen.
Thank you to the both of you guys. We appreciate the both of you guys coming on, and we'll catch you on the next one, obviously. Paulie, let everybody know where they can find your channel.
Paulie.tv on YouTube. Check me out. Also Paulie TV on Instagram. Check me out, man. And, I hope to see some good, again, I'm pushing for the best fights. That's all I do, man. So I'll keep pushing for the best fights possible, and wishing Bill and Devin Haney the best in the future, and regardless. But I still got love for Haney. I got love for Lomachenko. I got love for all the top fighters. And I'm going to keep pushing for fights to be made, but I'm glad we cleared all this up tonight, man. One love.
Appreciate you, Paulie. Thank you so much. And Bill, let them know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on your ass if you say the wrong thing about Devin, that's for sure. You dig what I'm saying? Other than that, look forward to announcements soon when Devin is going to be fighting.
How soon?
Well, right now, you know what I'm saying?
Lomachenko fight?
Huh?
Is it going to be at the Loma fight?
Hey, man, you never know. You never know. You just never know.
All right. Well, Bill, man, thank you once again, brother. We appreciate you.
Thank you, King. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you both. We do appreciate it.
Yes, sir. That was a fantastic interview. We do want to thank, obviously, Bill and Paulie for coming on and,
thank you.
Giving us their time and obviously making it a great episode for you. If you're watching this on the Future, Present, Past, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, as it's always going to help with the visibility of the show.
Family, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us get to that 1 million subscribers. We're on the road to 1 million. And obviously, we have other great content on our Patreon channel. So since this video is over, head on over to our Patreon and check out all the exclusive content, or right here on our YouTube members.